evening, everybody, and welcome to the special meeting for Planning and Zoning Commission. I'll call the meeting to order and have a roll call starting on the left.
Brent Mills.
Jim Gagnon.
Carly Strider.
Right.
Mary Ann Shinati.
All right, and there are no alternates to appoint. There is no public hearing tonight, so we'll go to the regular meeting, call it to order. Citizen participation. This is for anyone to address the committee outside the public hearing. Going once, going twice. Seeing none, moving on. Unfinished old business, item A, Scannell Properties, number 639 LLC, care of Daniel Madrigal, requesting site plan approval for construction of a 1 million square foot warehouse with 975 parking spaces, associated drives, parking areas, drainage, etc., on property located at 91-105, 107, 113, and 143-151 Plainfield Pike Road, Industrial 2 District, and this was continued from our last meeting. Is there someone to speak for the applicant?
Good evening. For record, my name is Matthew Fruit. I'm an engineer at BL Companies here on behalf of the applicants. First of all, I want to say thank you guys for having a special meeting. I appreciate the accommodation. And just a reminder, we obviously were here 2 weeks ago and continued obviously to allow your engineer to, get a more solid look at the plans. So I'm just going to walk through briefly what we did since the last time we were here. So peer reviewer came back with 4 comments related to the plans that you guys saw last week or 2 weeks ago. So we responded to those comments. Overall pretty minor. One was related to the illicit discharge certification related to the concrete batch plant that will remain on the property. There was another comment related to the labeling of hydrodynamic separator units. And then there was one revision related to a discrepancy with some inverts related to the public control structure. All of those have been addressed. There was a 4th comment related to some further geotechnical test pits and infiltration testing associated with the stormwater management systems. We did perform those tests on Monday and Tuesday of this week, provided that data to the town peer reviewer. Got some good results and then some unanswered questions on some of the things. The equipment and the depth of the cut that we need for some of those areas is a little bit inaccessible at this point because it's so far down. We've agreed to, and I believe Chuck can speak to it, potential condition related to further testing as needed for that aspect of the engineering review, which we're happy to provide once we can get some more appropriate equipment out there to further explore that. But that's kind of a quick summary, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Okay. Chuck, do you want to review your engineering comments and anything that might be resolved or unresolved?
Sure. So the two comments I guess that I have for the commission would be that the soil testing does need some additional information, and if you happen to conditionally approve the project, that information needs to be provided to staff. And if any modifications do need to be made to the plan, if there are significant modifications, then they would need to come back to the commission. The other is what we had discussed at the last meeting in regards to a traffic study. If it is determined that the use of the warehouse or the use of the property is different than I forget the exact the LU 150 general warehouse. If it's determined that a different warehouse use is proposed by the tenant, then a revised traffic study should be provided to the commission.
Any additional comments from staff?
And I'm happy to talk more about the soil testing, so if you have questions on it.
You say the use was LU 150?
LU 150, yes, general warehouse. And that's a traffic generator.
So just for the record, the suggested conditions of approval from staff, the motion must also include the time limit for completion within a period of 5 to 10 years. So we have to indicate a 5-year period or a 10-year period. Or anywhere in between. So the commission has that discretion. Other conditions of approval, property lines must be modified per plan and recorded in the land records prior to receiving a zoning permit to construct the site. All engineering review fees to be determined are to be paid within 30 days of billing or prior to the filing of Mylars, whichever comes first. Okay. Mylars of the project are to be filed with the town clerk prior to receiving the zoning permit to construct. A full set of plans are not required. Staff will advise the applicant which sheets are needed. Any changes to traffic patterns are to be reviewed and approved by staff as part of the zoning permit to construct, or if use is changed from LU 150 general warehouse, a traffic study will be required. Approvals from ASTA and DOT must be submitted for the file prior to receiving zoning permit to construct. Per the fire chief's request, additional hydrants are required at a maximum distance of 250 feet between hydrants surrounding the building. On the north and south ends of the building in the parking island, hydrants are to be a minimum distance of 90 feet from the building. On the east and west sides, hydrants are to be at least 100 feet from the building with a maximum distance of 200 feet from the building. Connection to the Plainfield Pike sewage main will require significant upgrades to the system. The applicant will be responsible for the cost of any upgrades. Per the town engineer comments of June 28th, further testing, test pits must be performed in the areas of TP1, TP2, and TP5 shown on test pit location plan SWM, Basin 1 and test pit location plan, underground detention 2, provided by GEI consultants dated 6/28, to ensure the infiltration systems will function as designed. This data must be provided to town staff for review and approval prior to receiving a zoning permit to begin construction of the project. Based on that testing, if town staff determines that modifications are needed, the applicant must return to the commission for a modification to the site plan prior to receiving a zoning permit to begin construction on the project. Any items of clarification?
For the record, Evan Seaman, Robinson Cole. I just had a question for clarification with respect to the land use code LD 150. I think the language that was read off said in the event of a change, a traffic report will be provided. Will that be provided to staff?
To staff.
To staff, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for clarification? All right. Any items of discussion for board members? So just the unresolved item is the period of time, any time between 5 and 10 years. And then if you're making a motion to include the proposed time frame as well as conditions as read, if you wanted to include them.
Would you like a motion?
If you have one, certainly.
Okay, I'll make a motion to pass this with all of these conditions for the permit, and I'm suggesting 5 years
Okay.
on the project.
All right. So we have a motion. I have a second by Frank. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Application is approved with conditions and a 5-year period.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
And just for clarification, that 5-year, RA will come back for an extension. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So moving on to new business. Item A, Town of Plainfield Planning and Zoning Commission requesting a text amendment to the zoning regulations for a modification to Section 20, application fee schedule. And this does require a public hearing, and I believe it has a longer notification period for
35 days to notify the cops.
So we should be looking at this September meeting for it. Is it more than 35 days? The notice period?
At least 35 days prior. By state statute, we can't schedule it from 1 month to the next because you don't have 35 days in between.
Right.
But we're 2 weeks out from the next commission meeting, so that'll give us more than 35 days to notify COG on Tuesday.
How about this? We know there's a primary on August 9th. I think I'd be more comfortable giving more time and scheduling it for September if board members agree. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on that.
So moved.
Second?
All right, I have a motion by Frank to schedule for the September meeting, a second by June. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll schedule for September, then we don't have to worry about August. Any correspondence for this evening?
I did get a letter from, regarding another tower modification for property at 1197 Norwich Road, which is the handicraft parcel. They're proposing upgrading 3 of their antennas to 4 and 5G and adding to equipment cabinets on an existing pad. There won't be any adverse impacts to the area because they're not extending the height, it's still at 149 feet. They're not adding any pads.
Okay, very good. Report from zoning enforcement. Okay. And report from planning and engineering. Planning and
Planning and zoning,
zoning.
I have nothing.
Okay.
Special meeting.
And I have nothing under other, unless anyone else does. I'll entertain a motion on adjournment.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Motion by June, second by Frank, all in favor. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.